Welcome back. This is To Be Continued With. I'm Mike, and this is a show where we break down the newest edition of WandaVision. Check out our previous episodes on the show right here on our page, and if you're new or haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that bell to stay connected. We're up to episode 5 on this channel and also in this series, and we're going to kick things off with Wanda and Vision trying to get the twins to calm down and stop crying. Suddenly, Wanda tries some magic, but she states that the twins aren't doing what she wants. She then mentions possibly getting some help when the doorbell suddenly rings and Agnes pops in. Vision quickly changes his appearance and he starts bugging out about Agnes helping, which turns into an awkward moment as Agnes breaks character and asks Wanda if she should do that scene again. Vision questions the moment and Wanda plays it off and shifts the mood back to a happy-go-lucky one. They both stop talking, and after a few funny sitcom scenario moments with Agnes, they all notice the peace and quiet. As they go to check the crib, we suddenly hear Mommy, Daddy, and it's revealed to us and them that the babies are now about 6 years old. We end the scene and go right into our intro. It's basically another mashup of 80s primetime gold. We have Family Ties, Growing Pains, and even a little Full House sprinkled in. They all have a heavy influence on this from beginning to end, concept, music, even the pics. This intro captures it all. With our sitcom intro all wrapped up, we pick up in the real world. Sword is running some tests on Monica, who just returned from Wanda's reality. All the tests are either inconclusive or blank. Wanda states that she was not in control while being in sitcom world and sensed a feeling of hopelessness and despair. We catch up with Director Haywood, and he's debriefing everyone on the status and states that Wanda is the culprit of everything that's going on. Agent Wu gives a background check on Wanda and points out to Darcy how much of a dick Haywood is being. It seems as though Wu, Monica, and Darcy are the only ones giving Wanda the benefit of the doubt. Now, for those that caught my last episode, you already know about a scene I mentioned that was the basis for this particular series. Well, guess what? That scene is shown here. We see that Wanda breaks into a SHIELD facility and gathers the Vision and all of his remains after the events of Endgame. This was 9 days ago, right before Wanda resurrected him and cut themselves and the town of Westview off from the rest of the world. The interesting thing that's actually mentioned here is that this was all done against the Vision's will. The Vision did not want to be brought back as a weapon, and he let it be known. He actually had a living will written out. As Wu, Monica, and Darcy wonder what happens next, we zoom in on one of the old TVs to catch up with Tommy and Billy, who are in the kitchen by the sink. They're hiding a dog they found, and we get the classic TV trope about the kids on a sitcom wanting a pet. As Vision makes his way into the kitchen and meets up with Wanda and the twins, he states that he has a hunch someone might make their way over. We cue Agnes, and she barges in, complete with a doghouse for the pooch. They name him Sparky, and Wanda makes it official by conjuring up a dog collar, which concerns Vision because this was all done in front of Agnes. Vision expresses some concern about them using their abilities in front of others. Suddenly, the mood shifts into a sad TV moment because Wanda turns to the twins and says that they're too young to have a dog. And right after that, the twins magically age themselves to about 10 years old, which sets off the laugh track and brings us to the real world. Wu shows up with a round of coffee for Monica and Darcy, and they start working the Hex anomaly case. Now, for those that have read comics, you understand a lot of this is being pulled by the old Scarlet Witch and Vision miniseries, as well as some little pieces from the latest Vision miniseries that came out a few years back. But for those that want specifics on why they're calling it the Hex anomaly case, in the comic books, Wanda's powers were always called hexes, basically being powered by chaos magic. Now, Agent Wu, Monica, and Darcy do bring up a couple of things about Wanda, but they start comparing how powerful Wanda really is. They even compare her to Captain Marvel, which strikes a nerve with Monica for some particular reason. Monica then goes to test a theory out by shooting at her clothes that she was wearing while in the sitcom world. The clothes may look like throwbacks, but are actually mostly made of Kevlar, which is what she had on when she was sucked into the hex. Basically, everything is being changed and rewritten when you are in the anomaly. She gets another idea, and suddenly we cut to Vision, who's in the sitcom world at his job. You remember? The same place that he went to in episode 1. He's talking to Norm, and they connect to the internet. They receive an email, and it's from Sword. Norm is amazed at how efficient Vision is with technology. For some reason, as he starts reading the email, Norm and the background cast all start reciting the email in unison like some sort of cult. Vision, looking concerned, mind melds with Norm, who snaps out of it. He starts pleading for help. He doesn't know what day it is or what's going on. He's only concerned with how long he's been there because his dad's been sick and he needs to get in contact with them. He looks at Vision. He says to make her stop because she's the one in control. Vision snaps him out of it, and Norm returns to his jolly sitcom self. As we go back to Wanda and the twins having a conversation, it gets a little bit weird because the twins point out that it's actually Saturday when Wanda's trying to play it off as it's Monday. They also ask her about her twin brother, and she starts telling them how sad she gets when she starts thinking about it. All of a sudden, a noise startles Sparky. He goes to check, and then it startles Wanda. Sword sent in a drone. Monica's piloting it, and when Wanda sees it, Sword takes over the drone from Monica and arms it. They prepare to attack, and then the drone is lost, along with all the other visuals, and alarms start to blare off. We're now in the real world and facing the force field of the Hex. All of a sudden, Wanda steps out of the field with the drone while Sword has her in their sight ready to shoot. Wanda warns everyone to stay out of her way. She points out she's not the one with the guns in this scenario. Now mind you, this is like a scene from the old Fox X-Men movie. Monica pleads with Wanda, and then Wanda turns the guns on them, like I said, just like Magneto specifically did. But this time, they aim them at Director Hayward. Wanda then turns around and enters right back into the Hex field. We now cut to commercial.
Oh, you've got a mess, and you're still using the next leading brand? You need Lagos brand paper towels, the most absorbent paper towel available. Husbands can use it too, you know. Lagos, for when you make a mess, you didn't mean to.
If you haven't guessed by now, all the commercials in this series are a metaphor for big, important times in Wanda's life. This one's no different. Lagos was the fuck-up she did when things got out of hand in Captain America Civil War. Now, getting back to our regularly scheduled shit show, we see that everyone's looking for Sparky through town. Wanda and the boys end up bumping into Agnes, who is actually holding Sparky wrapped up in a blanket. He's dead. Wanda looks at the boys, consoles them, but tells them not to age themselves like before. Don't avoid this moment. They tell her to fix it since she can fix the dead. Wanda says, "What?" And Agnes asks if she can really do that. Wanda and Vision start to end this episode with a simple heart-to-heart between each other. He explains what happened with Norm at work, and he tells her about knowing it's her doing this. She tries to change the subject, and Vision actually calls her out on it. He says she cannot control her, and the credits start to roll. But wait, Wanda and Vision continue to talk, and the conversation escalates. Mind you, the credits are still going. As the music plays, they end up in full battle mode in the living room as Wanda tells him that this is all for them and to let her handle it. It seems Vision doesn't have any memories from before this because he wants to know what's outside of Westview, and he's really scared. You can tell. Wanda tells him what he is, but from a certain point of view. And as things calm down, they end up on the couch. Vision still presses the issue and states how it's wrong. Suddenly, the doorbell rings. Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, I welcome you to the beginning of the multiverse. Wanda opens a door. After telling Vision that the doorbell wasn't her, we see her brother. But it's not the one from the MCU. It's the Fox X-Men rebooted timeline one. Darcy says it best. She recast Pietro. They hug, a round of applause comes into play, and we end with Pietro saying, "Who's the popsicle?" It's also pretty funny how he's rocking a leather jacket like Uncle Jesse in Full House. Now that brings a conclusion to on a very special episode of WandaVision. Listen, I'm constantly praising this show. I'm very entertained, and I like the way this series is going. The mysteries on top of other questions, layers, and other crazy shit is really cool to me. A lot of tidbits that get pulled from the actual Marvel Comics universe are a plus. Just like Sparky, just like Agnes kind of being Agatha Harkness, because honestly, with her asking to do the scene over again, and then telling Wanda that the kids are something she can't control, definitely reek of an Agatha Harkness MCU character. A lot of people are still trying to figure this out. I'm just enjoying the ride, and I hope you are too. Again, I'm Mike. This is to be continued with, so if you haven't done so, give us a thumbs up, hit the bell for notifications, subscribe to the show, tell a friend to tell a friend, and more importantly, don't forget, follow my man Bobcat the Legend, who's been blessing us with these beats on his YouTube page and his Spotify page. Again, this isn't the end. This is to be continued with.